Cameron Crowe and Kate Leadbetter here. We're going to talk about a recent Make Idaho Better survey related to an interest area of Kate's. More details soon, but first we're going to introduce what we're talking about if you've never watched a Make Idaho Better interview before. So Make Idaho Better is designed to be the easiest way to be a part of state and local solutions. So with only a few minutes every few weeks, we'll send out a survey, and it's really easy to respond. And then I will take so I'm the founder, I will take all of that data, bring it together, analyze it, make it the overall results publicly available, and then publish my analysis. So I will answer kind of the questions that I think are pertinent to the subject. And so everybody can kind of learn and understand some of these topics a little bit better. So if that sounds interesting to you, the subscribe here button will take you to our email subscribe landing page. We use MailChimp, so if you just fill that out, then you'll get all the surveys, and when you respond to a survey, then you get the results sent to you as well. Okay, so the survey topic is businesses supporting communities, and I'll let Kate say a little bit more about why we did a survey about that. But like every Make Idaho Better survey, there's a page that has all the resources here publicly available. So there's a link here to see all the questions, exactly how they were all worded. There's a link here to see the overall results, and that's over here. That's what we're going to be talking about on this call. And then there's a link here to the analysis. And the analysis is where I kind of break some of these things down. So here's like an overall view, and then here is that kind of overlapped with another question to kind of get at below the surface insights. That's what I do on here, and I explain what I find. So with that, Kate is a owner of Meriwether Cider, and Kate, would you share why did we do a survey, and what were you kind of hoping for when you talked to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I had actually met you at the cidery and took an interest in Make Idaho Better, because I think it's such a great idea to do it, and something that I feel like
kind of hard to hear you. If you could push the computer maybe closer, or talk a little louder or something.
Yeah, I'll talk louder too.
That's great.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Great. So like I said, I met you at the cider house and took an interest in in Make Idaho Better, because I really appreciate things like this that we can really make a difference in our local communities, and that isn't just kind of something like larger than I can comprehend. This was really a close and dear to my heart type of place. So I was excited to learn about Make Idaho Better. And kind of along with that, as a company, as a local business, as somebody who lives here, I really want to be able to serve my local community, because every community is unique. I think that Boise is very unique, and it's obviously very dear to my heart, and my family, who also runs this business with me, and all of our lovely employees. So kind of why I contacted you and talked this subject over with you is because we want to fit into this community, to do what's right for this community, and to move and grow with everybody in the community. So this was kind of an strategy to learn more about how we can do that.
Totally. Yeah. So kind of how Meriwether Cider could how they could best help the community, and how other businesses that are interested in that as well could learn from this information, and maybe, change up the way that they do their community-oriented projects, or add some community-oriented projects.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the ways that Boise is unique is that we are not the only business owners that feel this way and that are interested in this topic. And so it doesn't just benefit us, it benefits other business owners, it benefits the people who support local. So yeah, I think it's awesome.
Oops. Yep.
There's everybody.
Yeah, there's everybody. And then the team over here. Great. Well, let's dive into some survey results and see what we find here. So the first question here was really trying to see if this, the main idea of the survey actually resonated with people, right? Is to what degree, is it the responsibility of businesses to support local communities? And Kate, what do you make of these results?
I think it's awesome. I think that people expecting business to get involved and support local community is something that people obviously believe in. So we believe in that too, and it's good to see that that is in other people's value structure.
Is this higher, this yes, absolutely group, is this higher than you would have expected?
Yeah, I think it might be a little higher than I expected. But, well, yeah, I think a little bit.
I think that,
combined with the yes, it's very high, which is great.
right, yeah, because then that's like 80%. Yeah, I think that, so Make Idaho Better subscriber base is typically some of the more kind of community oriented, volunteering type people that care about kind of community issues across the state. And we heard from here in the analysis, I prepared the demographics. And we have like a pretty good cross section on ages. And we had more women than men. We heard a lot from Ada County, but it's also interesting to note too that we had a lot of Meriwether subscribers respond to this survey too, because you helped promote the survey. So I'm guessing we're kind of a combination of like civically involved or interested Idahoans, particularly Boiseans, and patrons of Meriwether Cider. So I think that demographic combined is ones that really believe in this. So I would guess this would still be the majority that would say yes to this, but I would guess it would be lower across all Boiseans in particular. I would guess maybe.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Yeah.
Cool. Let's do the next one. Okay, so how much do businesses support your local community? So trying to like make it personal, like wherever you live, how influential are businesses on supporting the community? Now this one's a little bit different. It's not the majority in the highest rank, option here. So what do you make of this?
I think this one doesn't surprise me. I think it's awesome, but as a business, we try to do as much community support as we can. And it's actually nice to note that people notice, because sometimes when you do stuff, you're not quite sure if it is making an impact or if people are noticing and kind of acknowledging that. But I think it's kind of accurate what people have said a great deal. I mean, to a certain extent, businesses can donate money, time, resources, but then the bottom line has to be met too. You have to also make your business succeed fiscally. So
Right.
I don't know. I think this is pretty astute of people, and I'm glad that they notice what's going on in their communities.
Right. Yeah. And then actually this question was like the one I was going to bring up is it's kind of like I think relevant to this chart is what do people actually consider supporting your local community? Um, and from this chart, it shows, the highest, how high people rank providing good jobs.
Mhm.
Um, they might be meaning up here primarily like you're supporting the community when you provide jobs, whether you do anything else or not. Um, so is that do you think that interpretation holds water? Like, do you think some people there's different maybe expectation levels of expectation about what supporting your community means? Like some people, it's just like the fact that you've hired people around here means that you're supporting the community, and to some other people, it might mean you're going above and beyond, and you're involved with charities, and you're hosting events. And how do
Yeah,
you think about that?
I do think that's probably true. It's a pretty, I think it can be widely defined, and maybe the walk of life you're in or the kind of day you've had kind of can um, change this answer. Um, Provide good jobs. I think that is great, and it's something that small local businesses can do. Can't afford to automate things, so we need bodies. We can't run our whole facility with just one person clicking buttons. So
Mm-hmm.
even though we are small, the amount of people we need and can support are normally larger than bigger corporations. So again, I think that's kind of astute uh, on the part of your subscribers that they kind of recognize that.
Mm-hmm. Are you surprised that hosting community events and donating to charities were the lowest?
Yeah, I am. I am surprised about that. We do a lot of donation to charity. Um, we've hosted community events before for those that reach out to us and need space um, to do something and they don't have a lot of money to spare. But yeah, it is surprising. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm wondering if there are really like a few different, and I get into this in some of the future questions here, but there's really some key I think groups of people that answer this survey. There's like the people that are very um, um, self-oriented versus like community oriented, where the self-oriented people are just like, I want the best quality product at the cheapest price. um, and and then there's the people that are talking about like, well, I want you to contribute to the other organizations around here and bring everybody up. And a few of the future questions kind of get at that, so I won't go too far afield. But I think that, yeah, the way segmenting this question is pretty interesting. Actually, I could pull that up really quickly. Um, Here we go. So I segmented that one by age,
mm-hmm.
and jobs were the most popular for all the age groups. The standouts here to me were kind of how the older folks prioritized values,
Yeah,
and to me that made sense because I feel like grandparents are always talking about things like values and principles and
yeah,
trying to leave lessons for the younger folks. And then I thought it was interesting that this youngest group, that the people in their 20s, care more about sustainability. I think sustainability is kind of more popular of a buzzword for younger folks
mm-hmm.
than older. So that kind of matched what I expected as well.
And I think that it's interesting that the welcoming is like so low in the 20s, but then as soon as you get into your 30s, it like shoots up, and kind of sustains for a little while.
Yeah,
Like that's, yeah, I guess that's a pretty big kind of life changing age difference stretch.
I wonder if that's related to having kids.
Yeah.
Like when you're, you don't have kids and maybe you're single, you don't need a lot of accommodations, but you've got a family and you want everybody to be able to go somewhere together, that that's part of that equation.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. Yeah.
Because then as you get in, because the older groups here don't care about that as much either, and then that's when they're like empty nesters and maybe don't have kids around as much. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
And then I had here, so I was talking about how there's the group. So this was a big part of the analysis post, is how I mentioned there's the group that are very like kind of self-oriented and people that are kind of like community oriented.
Mm-hmm.
One question that we're about to talk about on the survey results is, would you be willing to pay more to help businesses that support your local community? And I found where the way you answered that kind of seemed to be the best proxy for whether or not you're one of these self people or community people. So like these no, I definitely wouldn't pay more. These red bar people kind of answered differently across a lot of these questions. So I think those, like the no and the no definitely not, are the people that are like, I don't really want to be I just, I'm thinking, I'm looking out for number one. I want the best deal. I'm less interested in what you're doing for other people.
Yeah.
So we might come back to this.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, here is the rankings of what's most important to you when deciding where to spend your money. Um, so the number one being quality by a long shot,
Mm-hmm.
and then price and local being next, and the last one being innovation by a long shot. What are you seeing here?
This one surprised me quite a bit. I think quality people in Boise are used to quality, or people in this valley are used to quality. We have some really artisanal, beautiful producers, and we experience that with buying our ingredients, with you know going out. But yeah, I think quality isn't super surprising. The thing that does surprise me the most is that um, being local, and also innovation is last, um, which it's really interesting, because I think all of the craft beverage places, which is my expertise, we're constantly trying to innovate, come up with the next thing, and draw people in to experience something that's completely different, to enhance that experience by giving them something that they haven't had before, they haven't experienced before. And in our experience, that it does get people excited, and I think it's something that they appreciate. So yeah, it's a really interesting.
Yeah, and there could be the phenomenon of what people say is most important to them is maybe not exactly the matches up to their actions. Maybe they hear about the funky new cider at Meriwether, and they're like, well, I got to try that.
Yeah. I mean, we have like cider slushies. Those are a big hit. That's the name.
Oh yeah, those are good.
They're pretty good.
I was actually surprised being low. I mean, I think this goes back to the demographic, or like the demographic that we're hearing from with this survey. But being local, as actually edging out price slightly as the number two.
Yeah.
I would have thought being local would have been, in the middle of the pack, like maybe like relationships, values, hospitality. So I think that either means to me that we're hearing from a special group of people, or maybe local is a bigger thing than I actually assumed, like maybe across in Boise.
Yeah, I think being local means a lot of things.
Mm.
I think that most of the local places here, you meet the people that run the place. They're they're collaborating with other businesses. They're really present in. I mean, you build relationships with your customers. You don't get that in maybe a bigger corporate
Right.
atmosphere. So I think it's not only about being local, but it's about the experiences people have when they go there, which makes
Yeah.
them appreciate local more. And so,
Right. It's
yeah,
like locals. It's like local stands for more than just it came from here. It's like also relationships and also like maybe
yeah.
hospitality, more connection. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so here's the one that I was talking about. And this one I think is really interesting. I asked, what would you do for a business that supports your community? Would you tell family and friends about them? Would you go out of your way to buy from them? Or would you pay more to buy from them? So tell people, go out of your way or pay more. And it's kind of a downward trend. Each step requires a little bit more kind of investment or commitment. And when it's all said and done, it's about less than half of the people that said they would absolutely tell family and friends would actually pay more. What are you seeing with this?
Um, I mean, I'm glad to know that everybody's down with telling family and friends. um,
Yeah.
as a local business, um, kind of being wholly supported by our local community, that's great. And we do see that a lot. People are bringing people in from either out of town or family members or friends that haven't come before. I think that people are pretty open about what they like, and I appreciate that greatly. I think other business owners do as well. I mean, that's why we exist essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think that um, I think it's true. People go out of their way to buy, and
Yeah,
then
I mean that's
yeah,
80% between yes,
yeah,
absolutely, and yes. So that's a pretty big number.
it is. Yeah, and you know, we have the downtown spot now and a Garden City spot, so we get people of both those factions that either come out of their way to go to the tap room or downtown. And uh, yeah, we appreciate that. And I'm glad that people are willing to put in that effort because it's easier to go to any grocery store and buy, something that's available everywhere. you
Right.
know,
Right. So
yeah,
what do you make of these folks here? The
yeah,
how people answered if they would pay more. And if you think about it, it's actually quite a bit. I mean, it's much less than telling
yeah.
people, but it's still over half said yes or yes, absolutely, I'd pay more.
It is, yeah, and that's again, I think Boise values. It is less that we, as a community right now, I don't think we're um, super wealthy. This is no San Francisco, so
Hmm.
uh, yeah, I think that's still a great number. I mean, um, it's not always possible to buy things at a higher price margin, and um, I think that's just the reality, and we respect that. But it looks like people are supporting us if they can. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what, like, the most we can ask of anybody and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, okay, so these next two questions are open form fields here, and we asked what makes you want to be a regular of a business, and which businesses come to mind that support your community. So I'm going to switch over to the analysis view because I kind of summarized that a little bit. So what makes you want to be a regular? We've got a few things that stand out number one, quality, which was what we kind of saw in that other question.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Actually, this view is a little easier for me to read, but product quality, I mean, good was a word that was used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Values, price, business, community, customer. I guess, I don't know if you've read through any of those responses, but is
Yeah.
anything sticking out for you on this?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it kind of mirrors, I think there was good questions asked and it kind of mirrors what has been said above.
Yeah.
Um, just put specific words to it, you know? So I think that people are uh, kind of consistent in what they're being able to verbalize. And maybe that was with the help of the questions above.
Right.
But
I think yeah, they have that on their mind. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I think that people are astute and they're thinking about it and they're taking the time to fill something like this out. So, um, yeah, I think it's all good insight, essentially.
Nice.
And it's good to know, again, that we subscribe to a lot of the things that people said, and it's good to know that that is relevant. Because if we were doing something that people weren't kind of uh, their heart kind of wasn't in it, or it
Yeah.
didn't really resonate with them, then we could spend our energy elsewhere, doing something that's more relevant to our community. So
Right. Yep. And you got a little bit of a you got a little bit of an advantage since you shared with your subscribers, but Meriwether Cider was mentioned second most from all the people in terms of businesses coming to mind that support their community.
that's awesome. We
Um,
do try.
yeah, yeah, and so Payette was the second most, and in this kind of like Boise beverage scene, um, are you surprised to see Payette as high up there? I know they do a lot of cool stuff like Kegs for Cause. I was actually surprised that Lost Grove wasn't on this list because I know they do a lot of stuff, but maybe they're not as established as Payette. I don't know. Do you have any comments on that?
I think you're right. I think they're not as established. Payette was kind of getting going when I started entering the craft beverage scene. So I think that they've been around for a while. They've established the program. People know about it. So I think and they do a lot. So I think that I think it is just kind of establishing and being consistent, which again is, it's not easy to do, especially when, Lost Grove colleagues should have gotten some shout outs, and if they got discouraged by something like this, they could not be as consistent about it. But I guess at the same time, Payette's kind of a good example of why you kind of keep forging on, because obviously they're being recognized for their good work.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of forget that not everybody knows about Lost Grove because my friend groups seem to be always there.
Yeah, yeah, I know. We are all in our little bubble for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, cool. I think that's it. So, what last question? This is not looking at the data. Did you learn anything? Like, what are your main takeaways from this survey? Did it reinforce anything that you already expected? Did anything surprise you? Like, what are you like? What stands out?
Um, I think for me, it was a reaffirmation of the qualities that I kind of know Boise for, that I appreciate about my community. And a lot of times, as like I said, it's a lot of the things that we do are either uh, like sometimes they flop, sometimes they go good, sometimes you just don't really even know. And not that that dissuades us from doing um, the things that we think the community needs, but um, sometimes you just need that little boost and that reaffirmation that people here notice, and I think that's really special. So that was the main thing for me. It was just like I know already, but I know, from things like this that we live in a unique and awesome place that values the right things. Um, I think uh, what's most I think one of the things that's interesting to me is how different age groups uh, um, answer differently. Because we
Mm-hmm.
get, I think local business in general gets a wide array of folks from all different age groups, which is awesome. We all want to be welcoming and invite whatever walk of life you're in, come on in.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to serve different age groups, people from different backgrounds, I think is um, really important, and uh, to listen and understand the um, what they're saying and how their values differ. I think
Right.
is really really great, and I think that this um, kind of gave me more insight into that.
Great. Mission accomplished then.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Kate, for taking the time to do this interview, and great idea on the survey. Keep them coming.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Yep. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.